The journey back to the council station was tense. Kate watched as the three Novan refugees huddled together in the medical bay of the Valhari ship. Their resemblance to humans was striking enough to raise countless questions in her mind. How could beings from a distant star system evolve with such similarities to Earth humans? Was it convergent evolution, or something more? Nylara entered the medical bay, her skin rippling with concerned purples. The Malkari have demanded immediate transfer of the vessel occupants for territorial violation. They are sending warships. This complicates things. Kate said she had been studying the data recovered from the disguised ship. The Novans had provided access to their limited records, which showed their homeworld being attacked by a species they called the Vex, large predatory beings with advanced technology, who appeared without warning at the edges of their system. These refugees need asylum, Kate said firmly. They were fleeing genocide, not intentionally violating Malkari space. Nylara gestured with elegant fingers. Politics will take precedence over compassion if we don't handle this carefully. The Malkari are powerful and secretive. They rarely engage with the council yet maintain their seat to protect their isolation. Kate considered their options. We need to bring this directly to the full council. These hunters, the Vex, represent a threat beyond just the Novans. If they destroyed one civilization, they may target others. The Valhari ambassador agreed, though her skin showed patterns of concern. The ship accelerated toward the council station, outpacing the approaching Malkari vessels. Time was critical. Upon arrival, Kate immediately requested an emergency session of the council. The chamber filled quickly as word spread of the unusual discovery. The three Novan refugees stood nervously beside Kate, their similarity to humans causing whispers among the delegates. High Counselor Ziara called the session to order. Ambassador Morgan has requested this emergency gathering to address a matter of grave concern. The Malkari representative demands the floor first. The insectoid Malkari representative stepped forward, mandibles clicking angrily. These beings violated our sovereign territory. The human ambassador interfered with our rightful jurisdiction. We demand their immediate surrender. Kate waited for the translation to complete before responding. These beings are refugees seeking asylum. Their world was destroyed by an unknown aggressive species. They used a modified vessel resembling Earth design for protection. Not deception, she activated the central display showing the data recovered from the Novan ship. Images appeared of massive warships attacking a green planet, cities burning, populations fleeing. The council chamber grew silent as the evidence unfolded. These beings call themselves Vex, Kate continued. They operate beyond known space, targeting, developing civilizations. The Novans are the only survivors. Of their species, they deserve protection, not punishment. The Drakari representative Cyverax leaned forward. The resemblance between these Novans and humans is remarkable. Is there a connection? Ambassador Morgan Kate had been wondering the same thing. The Novan leader named Lyra stepped forward, speaking in halting English. Our legends say star travelers visited our world in ancient times, left gifts of knowledge. Some stayed, became part of us. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The implications were enormous. Humans might have visited distant worlds in the deep past, or perhaps both species shared a common ancestor seated across multiple planets. The Mavorian representative, their crystalline form catching the light, spoke next. These Vex, if they exist, represent a threat to developing worlds along the galactic rim. Several council members have colony worlds in those regions. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives demanded more evidence, others called for immediate defensive measures. The Malkari continued to insist on their territorial rights, while older species debated the historical implications of the Novan-human connection. Kate watched as ancient civilizations argued among themselves. The Novans stood, forgotten in the political chaos. This was not what she had hoped for. When the debate showed no signs of resolution, she stepped into the center of the chamber. Enough, Kate said, her voice cutting through the noise. These refugees stand before you. While you debate history and jurisdiction, their world is gone, their people extinct except for these three. Is this the compassion of the Galactic Council? The chamber fell silent. Even the Malkari representative stopped mid-click. I propose a compromise. Kate continued. The Novans will remain under Earth protection while a joint expedition investigates their claims regarding these Vex. The Malkari territorial violation will be acknowledged with formal apology and assurance of no further unauthorized crossings. High Counselor Ziara considered the proposal. The humans continue to surprise us with their directness. This approach has merit, though the expedition would require multiple council species to participate. The Drakari representative hissed softly. My people will join this expedition. Our warriors welcome the opportunity to assess this potential threat. Others followed, offering resources and expertise. Even the Malkari representative reluctantly agreed to the compromise, though they insisted on sending their own observers. As the council session ended, Kate found herself surrounded by representatives eager to speak with the Novans. Ambassador Nilara approached her, skin glowing with impressed amber tones. You have accomplished in one session what might have taken years of negotiation. The Valhari said, you brought potential enemies together against a common threat while protecting the innocent. This is why humans are valuable to the council. Kate smiled, though worry still lingered in her mind. If the Vex were real and as dangerous as the Novans claimed, the expedition would face significant risks, and the mystery of the human-Novan connection raised questions about Earth's own history that might shake human understanding of their place in the universe. Over the next several days, preparations for the expedition accelerated. Ships from 7 council species, including Earth, were assembled into a formidable fleet. The Celestial Horizon would serve as the diplomatic vessel, with Kate, Nilara, and the 3 Novans aboard. The expedition would travel to the remains of the Novan homeworld, then track the Vex fleet if possible. The night before departure, Kate stood at the observation window of her quarters looking out at the assembled fleet. Lyra, the Novan leader, joined her, their similar yet different features reflected in the glass. Your people risk much for strangers, Lyra said, her English improving with each day. Humans understand what it's like to face extinction, Kate replied. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times before reaching the stars. Perhaps that shared experience makes us value life more deeply. Lyra nodded. We feel connection to humans, not just appearance. Something deeper. Something remembered. Kate wondered about this connection. The genetic samples showed remarkable similarities with differences that suggested divergence, perhaps hundreds of thousands of years ago. The science team theorized ancient human travelers might have visited the Novan world through means now forgotten. Perhaps generation ships or even more exotic transportation. Tomorrow we begin finding answers, Kate said, both to Lyra and herself. The expedition would journey into unknown space, following the trail of destruction left by the Vex. Whatever they discovered would change the course of history for humans, Novans, and perhaps the entire council. As Kate prepared for sleep that night, she received a private message from Earth Command. The communication was brief but troubling. Archaeologists on Earth had discovered ancient artifacts depicting beings remarkably similar to the Novans, dating back 30,000 years. The mystery deepened with each passing day. Kate lay awake considering the implications humanity was about to discover its true place in the galaxy and face a threat that had already destroyed one civilization. The responsibility weighed heavily on her, yet she felt strangely prepared, as if her entire life had been leading to this moment. Tomorrow, the expedition would depart into the unknown, carrying representatives of ancient civilizations and the last survivors of a dead world, all looking to a human for leadership. The neutral station hung in space at the precise boundary between Council territory and the vast unknown regions claimed by the Zavik. The structure was ancient, predating even the Council itself. Its origins lost to time. Kate and Lyra arrived aboard a small Valhari diplomatic vessel escorted by a mixed fleet that would remain at a respectful distance during the meeting. Kate stood at the airlock preparing to board the station. Her Earth diplomatic uniform felt suddenly inadequate for a meeting that might reveal the origin of her entire species. Beside her, Lyra wore traditional Novan garments salvaged from their escape, a subtle reminder of what had been lost. Ambassador Nilara approached her, skin shifting through concerned patterns. Be cautious, Kate. The Zavik have existed for millions of years. Their perspective will be alien in ways we cannot fully comprehend. I understand, Kate replied. I've studied the mental images they shared. Their thinking is different but not incomprehensible. They value order preservation, evolutionary stability. Their methods are extreme, but their goals have a certain logic. The Valhari ambassador placed a slender hand on Kate's shoulder. Remember, you represent not just Earth, but all humanoid species now. Your words may determine the fate of billions. With this sobering reminder, Kate and Lyra entered the airlock and crossed to the ancient station. The interior was surprisingly simple, bare metallic corridors leading to a central chamber illuminated. By soft blue light at the chamber's center waited their host. The Zavik was tall, nearly 3 meters in height, with an exoskeleton of iridescent black plates, covering a form both insectoid and reptilian. Multiple eyes observed them from an elongated skull, while forearms remained folded across its torso. Despite its alien appearance, Kate sensed an ancient intelligence in those compound eyes. Welcome, created ones. The Zavik spoke directly into their minds, its mental voice carrying complex emotional undertones of curiosity, scientific interest, and something like parental concern. Kate stepped forward, maintaining eye contact with the towering being. I am Kate Morgan, representing Earth and humanity. This is Lyra, last leader of the Novans. We come, seeking understanding, not conflict. The Zavik moved closer, its movements fluid despite the armored exoskeleton. Understanding requires context. Context requires history. Are you prepared to learn truths that will reshape your understanding of yourselves? Kate glanced at Lyra, who nodded firmly. We are ready. The chamber darkened as the Zavik extended one arm. A holographic display appeared, showing a galaxy view that zoomed to focus on a spiral arm. You exist here, the mental voice explained. A small region, recently colonized by young species. The display shifted, showing a much wider view of the universe. Millions of years ago, beings you would call precursors spread throughout many galaxies. The Zavik continued. They were creators, explorers, seekers of knowledge. They discovered principles of evolution that allowed them to seed worlds with life, guide its development toward intelligence. Images appeared of beings similar to the Zavik, but more varied in form. They traveled between stars when your ancestors were single-celled organisms. They shaped life on countless worlds. Lyra spoke, her voice steady despite her obvious tension. Were the Novans created by these precursors? The Zavik tilted its elongated head. Not directly. The precursors eventually divided in purpose. Some believed creation must be controlled, precisely maintained according to established patterns. Others believed in allowing natural variation, freedom of development. This philosophical division became conflict. The hologram showed massive ships battling across space, civilizations rising and falling, planets transformed or destroyed. The conflict lasted thousands of years. The Zavik explained, we are descendants of those who believed in control, stability, preservation. The chaotic faction was eventually defeated, but not before they had implemented their final project. The display focused on a specific region of space, highlighting dozens of worlds, including Earth and the Novan homeworld. They seeded these worlds with a specific genetic pattern. The Zavik continued, a pattern designed to evolve, rapidly adapt to any environment, develop technological intelligence quickly. The pattern included traits the creators valued: creativity, imagination, empathy, but also aggression, ambition, unpredictability. Kate felt a chill run through her. The Zavik was describing humanity perfectly. These seeded species were meant to evolve beyond their creators. The mental voice continued, to become something new, unpredictable, dangerous. Humans, Novans, and 17 other identified species carry this pattern. You were designed to be chaotic agents of change. Lyra stepped closer to the display. So we were created, but not by you. By these rebel precursors who wanted evolution to continue naturally. The Zavik's mental voice carried something like regret. Correct. For millions of years we have monitored these experiments, neutralizing those that developed too quickly or in dangerous directions. The Novans' advanced biotechnology too rapidly began. manipulating their own genetics without understanding the consequences. Kate felt anger rising. This was genocide based on potential, not actual threat. The Novans never harmed anyone. They would have. The Zavik stated with absolute certainty. The pattern always follows the same trajectory: rapid advancement followed by self-destruction, often taking entire regions of space with them. We have witnessed this cycle 47 times. Kate considered this information the Zavik believed they were preventing greater disasters by eliminating species before they could cause harm. The logic was cold, but from their ancient perspective, perhaps understandable, but that doesn't explain why you spared Earth. Kate said humans have developed nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, biotechnology. Why haven't you eliminated us? The hologram shifted to show Earth its people advancing through history. The Zavik moved closer to Kate, studying her with multiple eyes. You are different, an anomaly. The only seeded world where the pattern developed self-restraint, where advancement paused for ethical consideration. Your species has stood at the precipice of self-destruction multiple times, yet pulled back. This is unprecedented. Lyra looked between Kate and the Zavik. You spared humans because they showed restraint. Not just restraint. The Zavik corrected evolution. The pattern is evolving beyond its original design. This was considered impossible. It requires study, not elimination. Kate began to understand the Zavik had destroyed the Novans because they followed a predictable path of advancement without ethical constraints. Humans had somehow developed differently, showing the capacity to limit their own progress for moral reasons. This made them unique among the seeded species. So what happens now? Kate asked. Are you here to study us? Judge us. Determine if we deserve to continue existing. The Zavik's mental voice became contemplative. We have observed your counsel. Many species working together despite differences, sharing knowledge, resources, defense. Another anomaly. Most advanced civilizations isolate, compete, eventually destroy each other. The ancient being moved to the center of the chamber. The hologram expanded, showing thousands of worlds throughout the galaxy. We face a greater threat. The Zavik explained beyond the boundaries of this galaxy. Entities approach that consume all life, all energy, all matter. They have destroyed 17 galaxies in our monitoring range. They will reach this galaxy within 2,000 years. Kate and Lyra exchanged shocked glances. This was unexpected. The Zavik were not simply destructive controllers, but guardians against an even greater threat. The seeded pattern was originally designed to create species that might resist these consumers. The Zavik continued. But the pattern proved unstable, producing civilizations that destroyed themselves before reaching sufficient advancement. We believed the experiment failed. Until Earth. Kate felt the weight of this revelation. Humanity had been created as a weapon against cosmic destroyers, a last desperate attempt by the rebel precursors to create something that could stand against an unimaginable threat. The Council must know about this, Kate said. This changes everything. Our petty conflicts, political maneuvering. They mean nothing compared to this. The Zavik approached Kate, its towering form casting a shadow over her. We have watched, monitored, judged for millions of years. Now we must adapt. We cannot face this threat alone. Even we, with all our advancement, are insufficient. The seeded pattern with its chaotic innovation may be necessary. Lyra stepped forward, her voice strong despite her small stature compared to the Zavik. My people were destroyed because you judged them too dangerous. Yet now you say such species are needed. This is hypocrisy. The ancient being turned its attention to the Novan. Not hypocrisy. Evolution. Our understanding must also adapt. The Novan pattern can be restored from preserved genetic samples. We offer this as gesture of new cooperation. Kate could hardly believe what she was hearing. The Zavik were offering to help restore the Novan species. They were admitting their approach might have been wrong. This was unprecedented. What do you propose? Kate asked carefully. The Zavik gestured and the hologram changed, showing Council space, the Zavik territories, and the approaching threat. A partnership. The monitoring becomes guidance. The judgment becomes cooperation. The seeded worlds, with their chaotic innovation united with our stability preservation technological advancement, all focused on preparation for the coming darkness. Kate Morgan stood at the observation window of the massive space station that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Council. She watched as ships of various designs moved gracefully through the void, each representing a different alien civilization. The human was still adjusting to her role as Earth's first ambassador to the stars, a position she never imagined holding just 1 year ago. The door to her quarters chimed softly, announcing a visitor. Kate turned to see Ambassador Nylara enter her, skin shifting to warm golden tones that indicated friendship among the Valhari species. "The Council requests your presence," Kate Nylara said, her musical voice carrying a hint of concern. "There has been an incident involving a human exploration vessel." Kate felt her heart rate increase but kept her expression neutral as she followed the tall, elegant alien through the curved hallways of the station. Other representatives stepped aside, some nodding respectfully, others watching with unreadable alien expressions. The human had earned their respect 6 months ago when she saved a young Valhari during a station emergency, but many species still viewed humans with suspicion. The council chamber was already filled when they arrived. The massive, circular room held representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations, each seated according to their biological needs and diplomatic status. Kate took her place at the relatively new human delegation desk. High Counselor Ziara, a being composed of swirling energy contained within a specialized environmental suit, addressed the gathering. "We have received distress communications from Outpost KX-723 near the Cygnus border. A human vessel designated Explorer 7 entered restricted space despite clear boundary markers." Kate felt eyes turn toward her, some accusatory, others curious. The Cygnus sector was home to the reclusive Malkari, a species known for their advanced technology and extreme territorial behavior. "I was not informed of any exploration missions to that region," Kate said evenly. "That sector is clearly marked as restricted in all navigation databases provided to Earth vessels." The Drakari representative Cyverax leaned forward, her scaled face showing skepticism. "Yet the vessel bears Earth registry markings and has human life signs aboard." Kate accessed her data terminal, reviewing the information being shared across the Council network. The ship specifications did match Earth designs, but something seemed wrong about the registry numbers. "With respect to the Council, I believe this requires investigation before conclusions are drawn," Kate stated. "I request permission to approach this vessel with a diplomatic team." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Malkari representative, a tall insectoid being rarely seen at council gatherings, clicked rapidly in their native language. The translation came through Kate's earpiece. "The human ambassador requests to approach a vessel violating our sovereign territory. This is unacceptable." Nylara stood, her skin shifting to diplomatic blues. "We have protocols for such situations. The evidence suggests a human vessel, but does not confirm human intentions. Ambassador Morgan has earned the right to investigate before judgment is passed." High Counselor Ziara considered this. "The Valhari will accompany the human ambassador to investigate. Any approach must remain outside Malkari defensive perimeter until identity is confirmed." The Malkari representative clicked agitation but did not object further. Within hours, Kate found herself aboard the Valhari diplomatic vessel, Celestial Horizon, approaching the coordinates of the distress signal. Nylara stood beside her on the command deck, along with Alara, the young Valhari Kate had saved months earlier now. Serving as a cultural liaison, long-range scanners detected the vessel drifting at the edge of Malkari space. The ship indeed bore Earth markings, but as they drew closer, Kate felt certain something was wrong. "That is not a standard Earth registry number," she said, pointing to the designation visible on the hull. "The font is slightly incorrect as well." Nylara ordered enhanced scans. The results confirmed Kate's suspicions. The vessel had been modified. Its power signature revealing non-human technology attempt. Communication. Nylara commanded. The communications officer, a Valhari with silver-streaked skin, sent the standard greeting protocols. No response came from the drifting ship. "We should board and investigate." Kate suggested, "If someone is using a human vessel as cover for illegal activities, I want to know who and why." Nylara hesitated, her skin shifting to cautious purples. "The Malkari will see this as further provocation. We remain outside their defensive perimeter as agreed," Kate countered. "If we determine this is not a legitimate Earth vessel, the Council needs to know. Especially if someone is deliberately trying to create diplomatic incidents." After careful consideration, Nylara agreed. A boarding team was assembled, including Kate Alara, and 4 Valhari security officers. Their shuttle approached the silent vessel, which showed minor external damage, but no signs of major conflict. The airlock cycled, allowing them entry. Kate immediately noted discrepancies in the interior design. Elements of Earth vessels were present, but proportions were wrong. Doorways, 2 tall control panels positioned awkwardly. This was built by someone who had seen Earth designs, but never actually been aboard our ships. Kate whispered to Alara, the boarding team moved cautiously through empty corridors, sensors scanning for life signs. Finally, they detected movement in what should have been the engine room. The security team took position as Kate and Alara approached. Inside, they found 3 beings huddled. Together, their appearance was shocking. They looked almost human, but with subtle differences: slightly elongated limbs, eyes, too large skin, with a faint bluish tint. Kate had never seen their species before. The beings looked up in terror when the team entered. One spoke in broken English, "Please help, escape hunters need sanctuary." Kate approached slowly, keeping her hands visible. "I am Kate Morgan, ambassador from Earth." "Who are you, and why are you using a ship with Earth markings?" The apparent leader struggled to stand. "We are Novan, last survivors of our world. Hunters came, destroyed everything. Used your ship design as protection. Humans respected, feared by hunters." Kate exchanged glances with Alara. These beings had apparently copied an Earth vessel design as protection against some unknown threat. The implications were significant. Humans had been in space barely 2 centuries, yet already had a reputation that these beings sought to use as shield. The mystery deepened when they accessed the ship's logs. The Novan's home system had been attacked by a previously unknown predatory species, one operating outside Council space. The Novans had fled using salvaged technology, creating this disguised vessel in hopes of reaching Council territory, where they might request asylum. Kate now faced a serious diplomatic challenge. The Malkari would demand punishment for territorial violation. Yet these refugees clearly needed protection. Even more concerning was the mention of these hunters, a potential threat to multiple civilizations, including Earth. As they prepared to return to the Valhari ship with the Novan refugees, Kate knew this discovery would change her mission dramatically. The galaxy was more dangerous than the Council had revealed, and humanity's reputation had somehow preceded their arrival into the stars. For better or worse, Earth was now entangled in a complex web of interstellar politics, ancient conflicts, and new threats emerging from the darkness beyond known space. The expedition fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the coordinates of the Novan homeworld. What greeted them was a scene of devastation. The once verdant planet now hung in space like a charred ember atmosphere, stripped away continents, scarred with impact craters. The destruction was total and deliberate. Kate stood on the command deck of the celestial horizon beside her. Lyra, the Novan leader, stared at the remains of her world, tears streaming down her face. The other Council representatives watched in solemn silence, even the normally argumentative Drakari and Malkari subdued by the evidence before them. Preliminary scans confirmed complete planetary sterilization, the Mavorian science officer reported. No surviving ecosystems, no functional technology, no life signs. Ambassador Nylara turned to Kate, her skin dark with mourning colors. This was not warfare, this was extermination. Kate nodded grimly. Whatever these Vex are, they left nothing to chance. The level of destruction suggested a thoroughness that went beyond mere conquest. This was the elimination of all traces of a civilization. The fleet established orbit around the dead world and dispatched survey teams to the surface. Kate joined the main expedition wearing an environmental suit alongside representatives from 5 Council species. The shuttle landed near what had once been the Novan capital city, now reduced to fused rubble and ashes. The team explored the ruins. They discovered something unexpected. At the center of the devastation stood a single structure untouched by the destruction. A perfect black cube approximately 10 meters on each side, with no visible seams or openings. The Drakari Security Chief Commander Vex circled the object, her scaled hand passing, sensors over its surface. This was deliberately placed after the attack, she hissed. No debris pattern around it, no impact damage. Perfect placement. Kate approached the cube feeling a strange resonance as she drew near. Something about it pulled at her awareness. The Novan refugees had remained on the ship too traumatized to return to the surface, but Kate wondered if they might know what this object was. Before she could suggest contacting the ship, the cube suddenly activated. Lines of blue energy raced across its surface, forming complex patterns. As the team stepped back in alarm, the cube projected a holographic image. A massive being appeared, towering and predatory, with an elongated skull, multiple eyes, and armored exoskeleton. Its voice, when it spoke, seemed to bypass their translation devices, going directly into their minds. Witness the fate of defiance, came the message. Your primitive species was given the opportunity to serve. Now only memory remains. Soon all false life will be cleansed. The true inheritors approach. The message repeated 3 times before the hologram vanished. The cube then collapsed in on itself, leaving nothing behind. The team stood in shocked silence, processing what they had witnessed. This was a warning, Commander Vex said eventually. These Vex wanted any discoverers to know this was deliberate. The Malkari representative clicked rapidly. We must return to Council space immediately. Our worlds are at risk. Kate disagreed. We need to track these. Vex understand their capabilities and intentions. Running back to defended space solves nothing. After returning to the fleet, a heated debate ensued. Several representatives argued for immediate withdrawal to fortify Council worlds. Others supported Kate's position that they needed more information. The discussion might have continued indefinitely if not for an unexpected development. Long-range sensors detected an approaching vessel massive in scale and unknown in configuration. It entered the system at sublight speed on direct course for the fleet. The ship dwarfed even the largest Council vessels, its design unlike anything in known space. All ships' defensive positions ordered. Commander Vex, her natural authority unchallenged in this moment, weapons primed, shields at maximum. Kate requested an open communication channel. This was their opportunity to make first contact with the mysterious Vex to understand their motives. Before anyone could object, she began broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Ambassador Kate Morgan representing the Galactic Council. We have come seeking information about the destruction of this world. We request peaceful communication. For long moments there was no response. The massive ship continued, its approach energy readings fluctuating along its hull. Then suddenly a response came, not through communication systems, but directly into the minds of everyone in the fleet. Your presence is unexpected. The thoughts carried curiosity rather than hostility. You travel with the remnants. We believed none survived. Interesting. Kate felt Nylara stiffen beside her. The Valhari ambassador clearly uncomfortable with this form of communication. Kate pressed forward. We represent 27 spacefaring civilizations united in peaceful cooperation. We seek to understand your actions and intentions. The response came immediately, accompanied by a sense of amusement. Your civilizations are young, temporary. Your existence brief, your understanding limited. We are Zavik, guardians of order, preservers of the true path. Confusion spread through the command deck. Kate noticed the aliens had not called themselves Vex, but Zavik. Perhaps the Novans had misunderstood or mistranslated their name. Why destroy an entire civilization? Kate projected the thought, clearly imagining it as a direct question. Images flooded her mind, overwhelming her senses. She saw through alien eyes, watched as beings similar to the Novans conducted experiments on living subjects, witnessed genetic manipulation, breeding programs, selective evolution, a project spanning thousands of years, then failure, containment breaches, abominations escaping to the stars. The flood of information stopped as abruptly as it had begun. Kate found herself on her knees, Nylara supporting her. Several other crew members had also collapsed under the mental onslaught. The remnants are flawed creations. The Zavik communicated. The creators attempted to reproduce our evolution path. They failed. Their creations would have spread corruption through the galaxy. The cleansing was necessary. Kate struggled to understand, was the Zavik claiming the Novans were artificial beings created through genetic engineering? If so, by whom? And why did they look so similar to humans? The implications were staggering. Ambassador Nylara stepped forward, her diplomatic training, allowing her to recover quickly. You judge an entire species for the actions of some. This violates fundamental council principles. The Zavik ship pulsed with energy patterns suggesting either amusement or dismissal. Your council is young, your principles untested by time. We have guided evolution in this galaxy for millions of years before your ancestors crawled from oceans. The conversation was interrupted by alarm signals from the fleet. A second Zavik vessel had appeared behind them, cutting off retreat. The expedition was now caught between two vastly superior forces. Commander Vex ordered battle stations her warriors. Preparing for conflict despite the hopeless odds, Kate raised her hand requesting restraint. This was not a situation they could resolve through force. We seek only understanding. Kate communicated to the Zavik. If the Novans were created beings, they had no choice in their existence. Destroying them for simply existing seems unjust. The Zavik ships moved closer, surrounding the fleet. Your perspective is limited by your brief existence. The remnants carry dangerous genetic patterns that must not spread. The human pattern is of particular concern, similar yet different. Perhaps related. Perhaps another failed experiment. Kate felt cold at this implication. Were humans somehow connected to whatever experiments had created the Novans? Was Earth itself under potential threat? A new presence entered the mental link. Lyra, the Novan leader, joined the communication from her quarters. Our people sought only to live in peace. We had no knowledge of any creation. We believed ourselves natural beings, with our own history and culture. Does our origin negate our right to exist? For long moments there was silence. Then the Zavik responded. Unusual. This remnant shows wisdom beyond its design parameters. Evolution continues despite flaws. This requires consideration. The massive ships withdrew slightly, creating distance between themselves and the council fleet. The mental presence of the Zavik remained, but less invasive, more contemplative. We will observe the remnants, their integration with your council. Their development will determine necessity of further cleansing. The human pattern requires study. Similarities suggest contamination or deliberate seeding. Both concerning. Kate felt both relief and apprehension. The immediate threat had passed, but the Zavik clearly viewed both humans and Novans as potentially dangerous experiments loose in the galaxy. Their temporary reprieve might only last until these ancient beings decided otherwise. The expedition had discovered far more than they bargained for, not just a new threat, but questions about the very origin of humanity itself. As the Zavik ships maintained their distance, the council representatives gathered to discuss their next steps. Kate knew that whatever they decided would shape the future of galactic relations for centuries to come. The human ambassador now carried not just the responsibility of representing Earth, but potentially protecting it from beings who had already demonstrated willingness to sterilize entire worlds. The return journey to council space was tense, with the massive Zavik vessel shadowing the fleet at a distance. The expedition ships maintained communication, silence except for necessary coordination, each species representative processing the implications of their discovery. Kate spent hours reviewing the mental images forced into her mind by the Zavik, trying to understand the connection between humans, Novans, and these ancient guardians. Ambassador Nylara found Kate in the observation lounge, staring at the stars, her face reflecting the weight of recent revelations. The Valhari diplomat sat beside her, skin shifting to calming blues. The council will be in chaos when we present our findings, Nylara said softly. Some will demand immediate military preparation. Others will seek diplomatic solutions. A few may even suggest surrendering the Novans to appease these Zavik. Kate turned to her alien friend. We can't allow that. The Novans are victims, not threats. They deserve protection regardless of their origins. Nylara nodded, her skin showing agreement patterns. And what of the implied threat to humanity? The Zavik clearly see a connection between your species and the Novans, one they find concerning. This was the question that had kept Kate awake during their journey. The mental images suggested the Novans were created beings genetically engineered by some unknown race. The Zavik had implied humans might have similar origins, or contamination as they called it. The philosophical and existential implications for humanity were profound. We need more information, Kate said. We can't make decisions based on the limited and biased perspective of the Zavik. I need to speak with Lyra again. The Novan leader had remained isolated since the encounter, clearly traumatized by both seeing her destroyed homeworld and learning about her possible artificial origins. Kate found her in the small quarters assigned to the refugees. Lyra sat with her two companions, their similar, yet subtly alien features highlighted in the soft lighting. Kate entered quietly. May I join you? Lyra nodded, gesturing to an empty seat. The other Novans, named Mira and Taven, watched Kate with a mixture of hope and fear. I need to understand your history, Kate said gently. What do your people know about your origins? Your earliest records. Lyra exchanged glances with her companions. Our recorded history goes back nearly 6,000 years, she said slowly. Before that we have myths, legends of star visitors, who shaped our world. Some tales speak of the visitors taking mates among our ancestors. Others tell of gifts of knowledge that allowed our civilization to flourish. Kate leaned forward. Did these legends mention beings like the Zavik Tavan the male? Novan spoke for the first time, his voice deeper than Lyra's, but with the same musical quality. Our oldest stories speak of guardians who watched from afar. They were said to test worthy civilizations and destroy those found wanting. But these were considered children's tales, not history. The description matched the Zavik's self-proclaimed role as guardians of evolution in the galaxy. Kate considered this information alongside what Earth archaeologists had discovered humans and Novans shared. Too many similarities for random chance. Both species walked upright, had similar facial structures, comparable lifespans, and compatible psychological patterns. The differences, head shape, eye size, skin pigmentation, seemed almost like intentional variations on a theme. As if reading her thoughts, Lyra asked, Do you believe we were created as the Zavik claimed? Are we artificial beings with no right to exist? Kate reached out, taking Lyra's hand in a gesture of solidarity. Does it matter? We are sentient beings with culture, history, emotions, dreams. The method of our origin doesn't change who we are now. Tears welled in Lyra's eyes. Thank you for saying that. Many would not see it so clearly. The ship-wide communication system activated. Commander, Vex's voice filling the room. We are approaching Council space. Prepare for immediate transfer to Central Station. The Zavik vessel has increased distance, but maintains monitoring position. Kate squeezed Lyra's hand before standing. We have allies. I won't let them treat you as anything less than people deserving full rights and protection. The reception at the Council Station was extraordinary. Every member species had representatives waiting, news of the expedition having spread throughout Council space. Kate noticed immediately that security had been substantially increased, with Drakari and Mavorian warriors stationed at every junction. High Counselor Ziara called for an immediate closed session, limited to the highest-ranking representatives. Kate, Nylara, Commander Vex, and the other expedition leaders presented their findings, including sensor readings of the destroyed Novan world, records of the Zavik encounter, and the troubling implications regarding both Novan and potentially human origins. The council chamber erupted in chaos when the presentation concluded. Species with long histories in the galaxy argued about ancient legends of creator races and guardians. Others debated military options despite the clear technological superiority demonstrated by the Zavik. Kate watched the proceedings with growing concern. The council was fracturing along predictable lines. Older species who had never faced extinction, dismissing the threat, while younger, more vulnerable civilizations demanded immediate action. The Novan stood forgotten again in the political maneuvering. When Kate could stand it no longer, she moved to the center of the chamber. "I request emergency speaking privileges." High Counselor Ziara granted the request with a gesture of her energy-formed limbs. "While we debate these beings, watch." Kate began pointing toward the distant stars. "They destroyed an entire civilization because they deemed it flawed. They clearly consider both the Novans and potentially humans to be similar experiments. They called us contamination. That should concern everyone in this chamber." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "Our strength lies in unity, not division. The Zavik said they have guided evolution in this galaxy for millions of years. That means every species here may have been shaped by their influence, accepted or rejected, based on their standards. That makes this everyone's concern." The Drakari representative Cyverax hissed in agreement. "The human speaks truth. We cannot allow ancient beings to judge our right to exist no matter their power. Their arrogance exceeds even our own." Unexpected support came from the Malkari representative. "These Zavik threaten the sovereignty of all council members. The territorial dispute with the Novans is insignificant compared to this larger threat." Kate felt momentum building. Council species rarely agreed on anything. Yet the Zavik threat was uniting even traditional enemies. She pressed her advantage. "Propose 3 immediate actions. First, we grant the Novans protected status as refugees of extinction. Second, we establish a joint research initiative to investigate the possible connections between various humanoid species, including humans and Novans. Third, we begin diplomatic outreach to the Zavik, while simultaneously enhancing our defensive capabilities." The Council voted overwhelmingly to support all 3 proposals. Within days, research teams from 12 species began analyzing genetic samples from humans, Novans, and other similar species throughout Council space. The Novans were granted temporary residence on the Council station with full protection status, and preliminary defensive protocols were established should the Zavik decide to take more aggressive action. Kate found herself working endless hours coordinating between Earth scientists, Council researchers, and the Novan refugees. The genetic analysis quickly confirmed what many had suspected: humans and Novans shared certain marker sequences that could not be explained by convergent evolution. There was a definite connection, though its nature remained mysterious. 2 weeks after the expedition's return, Kate was summoned to a private meeting with High Counselor Ziara. The energy being waited in a secure chamber accompanied only by Ambassador Nylara. "We have received a communication from the Zavik Ziara," stated without preamble. They wish to meet with the human representative alone. Kate felt her pulse quicken. "Why me specifically?" The High Counselor's energy form pulsed with what might have been concern. "They believe you represent an important variant in what they call the seeded pattern. They wish to evaluate you directly." Nylara's skin darkened with worry. "This is clearly dangerous. We cannot allow Ambassador Morgan to meet these beings without protection. The Zavik have stated they will share information about the origin of both humans and Novans." Ziara continued. "Information they claim will be vital to our survival in coming centuries. They will meet only with the human." Kate considered her options. The opportunity to learn about humanity's true origins was tempting, but the risk was substantial. The Zavik had already demonstrated their willingness to eliminate entire species they deemed flawed or dangerous. "I will meet with them," Kate decided, but not alone. "The Novans have more at stake in this than anyone. I want Lyra to accompany me." High Counselor Ziara's energy form fluctuated, suggesting surprise. "The Zavik may not agree to this modification. That is my condition," Kate said firmly. "If they truly wish to evaluate us, they should see how we work together, not in isolation." After tense negotiations, the Zavik eventually agreed to Kate's terms. The meeting would take place on a neutral station at the edge of Council space. Kate and Lyra would represent the humanoid species, while a single Zavik would speak for their ancient civilization.